All right, now that it's 6 o'clock, I'd like to call to order the December 10th, 2024 Buren Zoning and Planning Board. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. McMahon? Here. Mr. Virginia? Mr. Sykes?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Bose?
Here.
Mr. Scheisenbach?
Here.
Mr. Budak?
Here. The meeting minutes from the November 12th, 2024 meeting were sent via email. Is there any comments? Chair entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 12th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye. Against?
Approved. First item on the agenda is the public hearing for Hazard Foods, 2020-2220 Downer Street, tax map ID number 033.1-04-02.2. Chair entertain a motion to leave general session to enter into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? We're now in public hearing. Can you give your name and address, please?
Yes, Sam Burden with Buren Engineering, 17 Computer Drive West, Albany, New York, 12205.
Can you give a brief presentation on what you're looking for?
Absolutely. So again, Sam Burden, Buren Engineering, here on behalf of our client, Haza Foods LLC, here tonight to continue the discussion of the new 2,024 square foot quick serve restaurant with drive-through proposed at 2220 Downer Street. We're in the GB general zone where a quick serve restaurant is an allowed use subject to site plan review, and the drive-through is subject to special use permit with planning and zoning board. The project site just east of the 690 interchange. We are proposing 25 I just want to say, this is the former 84 lumber site, as we're all aware. It's currently just vegetated, grass maintained. On the westernmost portion of the site, you have a little bit of thicker vegetation. The site itself, the proposed site plan, as I mentioned, is a 2,024 square foot Wendy's development, a little under an acre of development, proposed 25 parking spaces where 10 are required. We have two-way circulation and a drive-through centered layout, just like the Taco Bell adjacent to the site. Access to the site is proposed via shared access to Downer Street and Sun Meadow Way. No new access is proposed as part of this development. Nothing's changed on that front. Continuing to work with DOT, Onondaga County DOT and New York State DOT Region 3. There's a jurisdictional boundary line right at the westernmost portion of the site. So just to continue our conversation from where we were last month, just giving a quick update, we resubmitted full engineering documents, construction level documents to the town, including the lighting, a SWIP that hasn't changed much to date, traffic count data that was requested by Onondaga County DOT, and an updated TIS. We submitted the letter of no impact, so that was included in the submissions that was in the file. We've responded to Onondaga County DOT and New York State DOT Region 3. We heard back from both of them today. Still outstanding is just waiting for their responses on ours. They have no major comments based on what we've seen to date. We've been continuing to work with them. We recently completed infiltration testing on the site to just double check our SWIP reporting, and we have that data as well. We've taken utilities essentially to the furthest point that we can without selecting a contractor. They don't want to talk to us anymore until they know that we're going to construction. Signage, we're going to propose similar signage to the Taco Bell. Variances may be required, but they would be sought by a sign vendor, not by us. This is typical of the Wendy's process, so they would have to come back if any were required. The lighting plan was submitted at the town's request to complete the package. And we looked at the lighting plan from, the perspective of both developments, utilizing existing poles where we could to try and, minimize light spillage out into the DOT right away, because they are concerned. They wanted to make sure that it wasn't that intrusive on their right of way. So that's really the updates tonight. Hopefully, tonight we're reaching for hopefully a site plan review approval for the amended site plan and for Taco Bell and the proposed Wendy's, as well as the special use permit for the proposed drive-through use. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
So since we're in public hearing still, I'd like to reach out to the public to see if anybody wants to speak for or against this application. I ask again, does anybody in the public want to speak for or against this application? Hearing no comments, Chair entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? We're now back into general session. Next item on the agenda is Hazard Foods, 2220 Downer Street, tax map ID number 033.1-04-02.2. This is for site plan review. Can you just quickly give your name and address again, please?
Sam Burden, 17 Computer Drive West, Albany, New York, 12205.
Okay, so I've gone through the package. Can you just quickly go through for the boards and everybody's general purposes, what were the findings on the lighting? What were the foot candles at the exterior of the?
We're right. The spot that we're concerned about the most is the shared access along the front there. We're providing just typical lighting, AGI lighting at the frontage, dark sky compliant. Spillage is over the property line, but zero in the right of way. We're not as concerned on the western side of the site because you have the large buffer. This side, we're just maintaining the existing lights, matching the existing fixtures that are used, and using it to light the driveway. So there's 3 poles along the Taco Bell parking where we have some green space that we're going to maintain. Besides that, it was pretty straightforward how we're.
Okay. And all comments in regards to the wetlands, did we get through all that, Jason? In regards to Onondaga County's comments on the wetlands?
Right, they're kind of stem from there being a riverine on the resource mapper, but that's no longer there.
Understood. Yep.
Due to land development, everything was redirected. So.
Okay. Does the board have any additional comments? The set of plans you provided, in the bulleted list of documents, it says that they're a revision of 1121. I'm assuming the 1120 package here is that package?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only concern I have is that it needs to be stamped.
I can provide
and signed?
such plans. Yes, absolutely. How many copies of stamp plans is it?
We need one Mylar of the cover and then
yes.
2 other hard copies.
Yes.
Jim, you got any comments?
It's pretty minor. I mean, you show a proposed pylon sign and some wayfinding, with no details. And you said that's going to be separate permit later. Probably shouldn't be shown.
Yeah, I mean, we have no problem excluding signage from this approval, or maybe just making a caveat that
Yep.
only approved signage is, allowable signage is approved at this time. Anything beyond that would be a variance.
Nadine, what's this, it's type
This is an unlisted action.
unlisted action?
Yes.
Thank you. To get through seeker before we get to any approvals,
Do we have to address county comments first?
I think we've got to do all those. Because the one was the wetland. Of course, I don't have a copy of those with me. Do you have a copy of those?
I don't think so.
They're right here. Looks like all county comments were addressed.
Yeah, we have, we responded to each of them, no go back.
Biggest concern was the wetlands. What do you see here, Nadine? The board does declare itself lead agency proceeding on an uncoordinated review. This matter is an unlisted action, and after reviewing the short environmental assessment form, does hereby render a negative declaration finding there are no adverse environmental impacts to be realized. So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Any additional comments on the site plan? Chair entertain a motion to approve the site plan for 2220 Downer Street, tax map ID number 033.1-04-02.2 for Hazza Foods. In regards to the set of site plans dated revision of 11/20/2024, contingent on approval from the New York State DOT and Onondaga County DOT for access out onto Downer Street Road. That a second contingency is that the set of plans be stamped and signed by a licensed engineer or architect. And that signage included in the package shall meet approved code, or an additional variance will be needed for signage approval in the future. End of motion.
What set of plans you working off? Because mine says 11/25/24.
Yeah, it is confusing. Your revision date's 11/20, revision 1, but then you got a draft stamp of 11/25.
Yeah, I apologize, don't look at the draft stamp, that's just a
Pretend it's not
carryover
there.
from CAD, yeah. Changing
That's where the
things up in
stamp's
our
gonna go.
office.
So-
Yeah, no, that's exactly, that date will come off and that'll be
So
signed.
the revision date is 11/20/2024.
That is correct.
End of motion.
Move.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approved. Thank you very much.
One
No?
question. For the drive-through, they require special use permit approval. However, and maybe this is just me, but I don't have a special use permit referral from the county PAC. Does the board?
No.
So what I would recommend is that, because that's jurisdictional, I don't want something, they could grant you special use permit approval this evening, but there would be an issue with that.
I'm wondering how that didn't get carried with the site plan application for the 239 referral.
So I don't know either. I was just reading that to see, because they specifically noted in their 239 that they had previously reviewed a special use permit as well as site plan for the additional, for the property next door.
Yeah.
So that had done that for the adjoining property, but not for this one. I would recommend that the board not take action on special use permit tonight, just because you don't need an issue where if anybody were to appeal it 50 years from now, a jurisdictional defect is a jurisdictional defect.
So that's gonna become,
But you could have.
it sounds like a clerical kind of issue that didn't get submitted with that, but
I don't know.
we have our closing is the end of this month.
But you have your site plan approval.
We have site plan approval, but I mean, there still is an outstanding risk without this special, they could build
Well,
a site
exactly.
without a drive-through.
Well, the only thing I would submit to you, and this would be more of a legal argument for your counsel, but special use permit approval is not discretionary. It's like site plan approval, right? You check the boxes, you get it, as opposed to area variances or use variances. There's actually case law that says a special use permit is tantamount to legislative determination that it's an appropriate use for the zone district. So my reason in sharing all of that, well, no, is to share with you that I don't know what your exposure is. What we can do is the board can grant you approval tonight, recognizing that it's jurisdictionally defective, and then correct it at the next meeting. I don't know if that would satisfy your counsel, but is that something that could be done if you...
Would there need to be another 30-day review period, so we wouldn't actually get the approval next month, it would be the following?
I don't know when the submission dates are.
Yeah.
Theirs is Monday, or I think they have another one coming up here.
I don't know. I don't know when the
Yeah.
submission dates are, and I don't know when their meeting dates are.
I can't remember off the top of my head either without the package in front of me, but I almost believe that site plan review and special use permit are both just check boxes on the application, on the same application.
What we could do is the board could grant you the special use permit approval tonight and look into see whether or not there had been an error in what was reviewed and returned.
Yeah, or would be.
And then, and if it's determined that there was an error and that it hadn't been done, they can take the actions necessary. But in the meantime, you have whatever approval we were able to grant.
Yeah, I think there would be some reassurance that it wouldn't be changed down the road if the board would so choose to do that.
What's the pleasure of the board? Okay.
That's fine.
I'm okay with it. Whatever we gotta do to get this.
So if you want to consider a resolution for special use permit, the approval resolution would just be subject to 200-80 subsection C as in cat 5 of our zoning regulations. And there's a list of determinations that you legally have to make, and we'll just run through those very quickly. A, because the proposed use is allowed by special use permit, the use complies with the applicable intent and regulations of the code. B, the proposed use is located on a parcel zone GB, general business, and is consistent with the long-term development objectives of the area, and the proposed use is appropriate for the amenities available to the property and will not impede the development of the area as intended by the town's comprehensive plan. C, the scale and design of the use is in compliance with town requirements and shall be visually compatible with the conditions of the site and surrounding properties, specifically noting that similar restaurants with drive-through facilities are located in close proximity to this site. D, the design of the site does not create any significant traffic issues, having been addressed by
GTS traffic study.
Correct. E, the use is designed and shall be operated in a manner that minimizes off-site disturbance of natural and cultural resources and and is consistent with stormwater runoff and on-site controls. F, the use fits with the energy plans for the underlying zoning district. G, emissions from the site are minimal and shall not impact surrounding properties. H, the physical characteristics of the property are suitable for and conducive to the proposed restaurant use with drive-through without modification to the established character of the surrounding area. And I, the cumulative impacts of the proposed drive-through use will not unreasonably interfere with or diminish the continued use, enjoyment, or growth of the surrounding area or community. Therefore, it is hereby resolved that a special use permit is hereby granted for property located at 2220 Road or Street?
Downer.
I was gonna say this is
It's
wrong.
Downer
Yeah,
Street.
I was gonna say that's.
Downer Street Road, yeah.
Downer Street Road.
Seriously, okay. Downer Street Road, that'll keep it clear on the record. That's your resolution.
So moved.
You want to put a tax map number in there or no?
Tax map number 33.1-04-02.2.
There you go.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approved.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, it's believed that it was submitted. In the event it is not, the board will take corrective action afterwards.
We have one more.
Yes. Second item on the agenda is Taco Bell Hospitality, Downer Street Road. Tax map ID number 032.06-03.0. This is for an amended site plan. Can you give your name and address, please?
Sam Burden, 17 Computer Drive West, Albany, New York, 12205.
So this is for the changes to the pedestrian access crossing the shared driveway with modifications to the ADA ramp on the Taco Bell side of things. And then putting an enhanced crosswalk across the driveway to make that connection to the future Wendy's. Is there anything I'm missing there?
Relocated bike rack and a relocated light pole.
And those are covered in the same set of plans.
That's right.
Any other comments on those? I will hit seeker up here in a second. Chair entertain a motion to ratify.
Yes, thank you. I was just gonna say that. Thank you.
To ratify and reaffirm the previously approved seeker for Taco Bell Hospitality. What's the address of the Downer of that?
Oh,
Hold on, I might have it somewhere.
that's the 2220.
Oh,
22220. Onondaga County hasn't provided a 911 number at this time.
Okay.
because the subdivision subdivision map wasn't filed that long ago.
It's, we've been calling, and.
No, I understand.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
easy to.
For 2220 Downer Street Road, tax map ID number 032.06-03.0. End of motion.
Move.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor? Against? Approved. So this is an amended site plan as mentioned. There's no need for 239 referral. There's nothing, all the changes that were made are minor. Chair entertain a motion to approve the amended site plan as shown in the set of plans dated revision 1/11/2024 for Hazard Foods LLC, site plan development plans for 2220 Downer Street, tax map ID number 032.06-03.0. End of motion.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor? Against? Carried.
Thank you. Make sure you get those signed plans and
Yeah.
appreciate
Preach, yep.
Definitely appreciate all the board's time on this and everybody that's played a part. Thank you.
I swear I heard a second on that.
What's that?
I swear I heard a second on that.
All right, next item on the agenda is the public hearing for TJ's Cannabis, 2239 Downer Street Road. Or is it just Downer Street in that area? Downer Street Road. Tax map ID number 034.04-07.0. Chair entertain a motion to leave general session to enter into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? We are now in public hearing. Someone here to represent the applicant?
My name is Brian Manthe. I'm an architect representing TJ's Cannabis and the owners here as well, to answer any questions that might come up. But this is the third time that we've been in front of you, so I'll just refresh your memory as to what we have going on. It's an existing former Pizza Hut restaurant that was 2,050 square feet that we're looking to do an addition of 1,940 square feet, site renovations, and to convert that combined facility into a TJ's Cannabis dispensary. The local town code permits this use in this location with some restrictions for its proximity to public parks, which it meets, and for hours of operation, which we agree to. And that's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So in our earlier presentations, we had submitted plans, elevations, site plans, and a few comments came out of those earlier meetings. One was looking for clarification on the generator that's going to be out there at the noise level, and we provided that information. It seemed to have been acceptable to the board. It's relatively quiet. So there's also a request for a traffic memo to be provided, which we did. And there was a subsequent request to remove the dumpster pad that had been shown on the earlier initial submittal, and we have taken that off, and we're going to use totes for waste removal that are stored at the building. And I submitted a revised site plan with a handwritten date on it of 12/9. So yesterday, that got dropped off at the office. And there was also a request to include a sidewalk from the building to Downer Street Road, and we did include that on that revised site plan. There's a request to provide a copy of the deed, which we did as well. And that, I think the purpose of that deed was to demonstrate that this parcel has, by deed, access to the former River Street Mall for parking, additional parking. And then there was another request that came out of the board to include a landscape island, which we're not able to comply with, if I'm understanding it correctly, because the parking and the property lines don't coincide with the actual footprint and the usage of the existing parcel out there. So the back next door parks on our property. The barber shop to the east, we have shared parking with them. So, and to the north, we're looking for an area variance that we'll get to, I would think, that puts us within 10 feet of the property line. I'm not quite sure where you're requesting that we include a landscape island. We're willing to do it, but I don't see how it can fit into the onto the property. There's certainly paved area out there, but it's not our property.
Anything else? Is there anything on the plan that the public should see? I was going to have Roger have you put that up on the board just so the public can see it as we are in a public hearing here. So you're basically putting the original Pizza Hut building, you're putting the extension and addition on the back side and the west side of the building?
Correct. deeded access to the site is through Creco Road and from the existing ingress and egress from Downer Street Road to the River Mall. So we're utilizing that and kind of turning the building around and the front of it, and the access, pedestrian access to it from parking areas is from the north side.
And there's a couple variances you're looking for?
Area variances.
Area variances.
The existing building sits 4.1 feet from the property line, which does not meet the zoning guidelines for setbacks, and as well our addition at the north.
4.1.
We're looking for relief on the setback at the north rear property line. And I submitted a chart that demonstrates what's there, what's required, and what we're asking for. So, the required zoning would be a 60,000 square foot lot. This is an existing non-conforming lot that's 17,500 square feet. It's 100 feet by 175 feet. Minimum dimensions dictated by zone would be 200 feet wide and 250 feet deep. So that's how this lot is existing non-conforming. The footprint of the existing comes within 4.1 feet of the east property line, and that's an existing non-conforming condition that we're looking to extend as the addition approaches the rear property line.
Can I get a clarification? The latest print you provided, dated the 9th of this month,
Yep.
shows 3.9 feet. Or 3 feet 9 inches,
Well,
rather than 4.1 feet. And the county's review says 4.1.
but that's a mistake. It's the existing survey conditions.
There's a discrepancy between the two.
Okay, it's 4.1 feet that we're looking to extend. We're not looking to encroach any closer to the property line than the existing building does.
All right, before we, then that's is there any other variances you're looking for?
The rear yard and side yard are the two variances.
Yep.
Area variances.
Okay. Seeing being that we're in public hearing, does anybody in the audience want to speak for or against this application? I ask again, does anybody want to speak for or against this application? Chair, entertain a motion to exit the public hearing and enter back into general session. Moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? We're now back into general session. Next item on the agenda is TJ's Cannabis, 2239 Downer Street Road, tax map ID number 034.04-07.0. This is for a special use permit, site plan approval, and area variance approval. Can you give your name and address again, please?
Brian Matthew, 1919 Patterson Road, Marietta, New York, 13110.
So you provided a copy of the deed, which I just circulated across the board. I don't know how far it got past Jim here, but
Didn't get that.
we do have a copy of that. Sidewalk connection was made, as you mentioned. So the landscaping comment came from a previous pre-agenda meeting for this. And I believe that the thought was to add a landscape in the front of the building.
I thought it came from a county comment, actually. Am I wrong?
No, the county states that the town requested it.
Yeah, this is for the variances. So I agree that there's no area to put in a landscape island. My thought was originally that you're taking out that tree that's in front of the building there for obvious reasons of blocking the building. the thought was that there could be some bushes put in there, low-lying bushes in that grass area in the front there.
You have no problem with that.
But understanding that
So
there's,
is there a planting plan established by the town across that area that we would want to maintain for consistency's sake?
No.
So we're setting the precedent?
just a couple low-lying bushes, just, it's really nothing that needs to be big or large, just to take the grass area and fill it with some.
Okay.
Well, and just to be clear, all down Downer Street Road, they always require landscaping along the front of the properties.
Okay.
Just to address your precedent comment, they routinely, you will see all the properties that have been receiving site plan approval.
All these Family Dollar, Fast Track, all of them, Walgreens, we've asked all from.
So this is by no means something unusual or presidential with you.
Right. I just didn't understand where it was intended to be placed. So.
A couple of quick comments. Sidewalk looks like it extends past the sidewalk on Downer. Probably just a CAD thing. I don't think we want that.
Correct. No, we don't.
We're just gonna pull that back a little bit.
Yes.
Notes for what I assume is the generator enclosure and the generator itself.
Yes.
Need to be added back in. They were omitted at one point, but, so. Right now, note 9 is omitted, but it's pointing to the generator.
Okay.
So. What is the material around that generator? Maybe it's in your details, like
It's vinyl fence enclosure.
vinyl fence enclosure, which is what we've been using typically down Downer Street. So I don't see that being, I think white vinyl is kind of where we've been heading, but I suppose a colored vinyl would be fine too.
I have no problem with white.
Okay. Or anything complementary to the building, really, that's up to you.
White's one of the colors, part of the logo and the color scheme, so it'll be integrated with both.
Why is there a guardrail? I'm assuming it's for people jumping the curb there maybe, but is that why you put a guardrail?
So the windows that are there are going to be enhanced vandal resistant glazing
Okay.
in the glass product itself as well as the framing system. So we're trying to restrict vehicle access to those windows and to the side of the building to prevent damage,
Okay.
intentional damage.
Someone trying to smash and grab through there.
Reflection.
Says you got a detail on it, and I'm sorry I didn't look up the detail beforehand, but is it just a galvanized box guardrail or?
I don't know what it's got on there. This is part of the original submission, I believe. We don't have a whole lot of room to work with, so it's,
I just think, you call it out as a box beam guardrail, I think that's probably more attractive than like a W style or something else, yeah.
But it still has a 4-foot deflection on it. So if somebody did hit that, it's still gonna deflect. But it's better than a W beam.
trying to keep the honest people.
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't have anything else. Is the taking down of the tree in the front because of sightline to the building and signage and so forth?
Yes.
I guess the only other thing is you're gonna have to make sure on your own that that generator, that it meets the decimal levels of the town at the perimeter of at the property lines.
I'm sure.
And if it doesn't, then that enclosure's gonna have to be changed, so kind of incumbent upon you to make sure that it's gonna perform the way it's supposed to.
It was pretty quiet to start with.
Okay.
67 decibels comes to mind.
I would submit that would be an appropriate condition for the special use permit.
Sure.
Has there been any more investigation into the grease trap? Find some of the new addition?
Yeah. Plumbing is on the design build performance, and so the plumber is aware that the grease trap is there and will make provisions to remove it or make other connections to existing sanitary.
So I don't see a connection to the sanitary on there, so I don't know if there's another line that's underneath the building.
I don't know.
This might be a silly question, but there is no food being proposed to be prepared.
Correct. Apparently, there's plenty of opportunity right around the corner. Yeah. New one's sprouting up every day.
So there's no other changes to the set of documents besides site plan L1. Everything else references the previous submission of September 24th,
Correct.
2024. Let's see a copy of the deed, easement.
Did we ask for a photometric before?
No, not that I recall.
There's half lights on the side of the
Yeah,
building.
it's just wall
Yeah,
panels.
any exterior lighting changes that you're aware of?
There's still be some soffit lighting, there is a soffit lighting there now, we're just gonna replace that. There'll be some signage lighting, signage will be submitted as a separate application to the board. There's no site, there's no poles, there's no wall packs, there'll be something over the doors as required by code.
Is there more?
No,
Because this isn't the deed.
well, this is what I was provided when I requested it. I think it's the last item there that refers to
Easement.
Well, that's not even an easement. This is the schedule.
There's no parties to the.
No,
whole
like it doesn't say whether it's a
transfer
warranty deed, quick killing deed, and part of the, as I understand it, the request is because they needed to make sure that you had sufficient parking. Because if you don't have sufficient parking, then you need an area variance for it. So my only concern is this is a Schedule A, which is your meets and bounds, with easement rights over a shopping center entrance for ingress and egress.
as the parking.
But I guess my concern, it is as to use in common with the tenants, but should there be, I guess I would do this, the board wants to continue. My concern would be, I think we want the rest of the deed. This doesn't, right, I mean, without knowing who it's from or what it is or anything like that.
Was there a problem getting the whole deed, or?
I requested of the owner, and this is what I got. So they bought it within the past 2 years or so.
It's changed hands many times over the decades, so.
Well, it'd be nice to get this project moving along, clean that parcel up.
I don't disagree.
Understood. We can request it from the county. It's on file there.
Right, well, yes, I would hope so. I would just say that either, if the board still wants to go forward with approval tonight, that a condition be that the deed in its entirety be provided so that, evidencing sufficient parking.
So that will be a condition prior to being able to pull a permit with codes.
Yep.
So there'd be, a good incentive for you to get that over
fine.
to us. Is that okay?
That's fine.
So you're the one who gave, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just joking.
You can blame me for a lot of things, but not for that.
I'm only teasing.
So Nadine, this is a question for you also. This is a special use permit, site plan approval and variances. Is there 3 different resolutions for this?
So when we met, we did not have all the materials submitted that had been requested, so it wasn't clear whether or not we were going to be doing approvals, but I I can
You're gonna
just,
ad-lib this?
I can, yes.
That's what I like.
Maybe not site plan, because you usually.
I'll do the site plan.
You do the site plan. The other thing I would just note, because when you were going through the list of conditions for site plan, I would also note that it needs to be this L1 dated 12/9. That needs to be corrected because of the 3'9", because it clearly shows actually that the building jumps out at that 3.9 from the 4.11. So I would think that just needs to be corrected.
Yeah, that and the sidewalk, we're gonna make that.
Right, I'm just saying, but it's
Yep.
in your list of modifications that I would add that.
I think in the interest of moving you along, we're moving forward with a plan that needs a couple minor corrections.
It needs to be
I think
stamped and
somehow
signed,
it needs to be stamped and signed too, I saw that. We need to condition this such that planning board or chairman can take a final look at the plan, and give it a final okay.
Do you want a date by which it needs to be submitted so that the chairman can receive it and know that it's come in timely?
It'll happen as soon as I can get to the county's offices and pull that deed.
It's not so much the deed that I'm worried about,
Well,
because
we'll
the
have
deed
the
will be
L1 back
conditioned,
to you.
it'd be more of the
The
L1.
L1 will be back to you at the end of the week at the latest.
My condition was gonna be that it needed to be done before the next meeting, so I was gonna
sure.
give you
For sure.
3 weeks.
We don't want it.
What was it, 3.9?
3.9.
Legal engineering.
It's 3 feet 9 inches it's showing on.
Showing on the plan.
On the December plan.
Yep, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, the town engineer just made a good suggestion that perhaps the way you just kind of cover some of those bases is the condition upon review by legal and engineering for any of those outstanding items. So, just to be clear also, did we get the area variances back from the county?
We got no comments.
Hold position.
No
No
position.
position, good, okay, just wanted to make sure. We got site plan and special permit, but I didn't have.
Yep,
area
we
variance.
just got it yesterday, or today.
Perfect. Oh,
Would you
never
like
mind.
a copy of it?
Never mind,
Okay.
that's what Tom just handed me, my apologies.
Bear with me, I'm writing down these. I'm actually buying my attorney some time to ad lib in her head. All right, we'll do seeker first. The board does declare itself lead agency proceeding on an uncoordinated review. This matter is an unlisted action, and after reviewing the short environmental assessment form, does hereby render a negative declaration finding there are no adverse environmental impacts to be realized. End of motion.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. You want me to do site plan first, or would you like to do your?
We can do, I can do the area variance and the special use permit, because then if you don't get the area variances, you don't get site plan.
100%.
So the resolution will be for the applicant, who is TJ's Cannabis, who seeks a special use permit and an area variance relief to operate a cannabis dispensary on property located at 2239 Downer Street Road on tax parcel number 034.04-07.0. The property is located in the general business zoning district. In support of this request, the applicant has submitted a special use permit application, an agricultural data statement, a notification to surrounding property owners of pending action, a short environmental assessment form, and an area variance application. A public hearing was held on this matter on December 10, 2024. There were no public comments received by the board. Brian,
Nancy.
thank you. Sorry, I was trying to find your last name, but I wrote down. Architect appeared on behalf of the applicant. Public hearing, the public hearing was closed. Upon submission of the information at the public hearing and the materials provided, the board did render a negative seeker declaration and does further wish to grant the following relief. Relative to section 200-80C5 of the zoning code, the board issues the following findings and determinations. A, the proposed use is allowed by special use permit. The use complies with the applicable intent and regulations of the code. B, the use is located on a parcel zone general business district and is consistent with the long-term development objectives of the area. The proposed use is appropriate for the amenities available to the property and will not impede the development of the area as intended by the town's comprehensive plan. C, the scale and design of the use is in compliance with the town's requirements and as a result shall be visually compatible with the conditions of the site and surrounding properties. D, the design of the site does not create any significant traffic issues. E, the use is designed and shall be operated in a manner that minimizes off-site disturbances of natural and cultural resources. And there is minimal site disturbance. It is noted that impervious lot coverage of the property is not increasing. F, the use fits within the proposed goals of the New York State Energy Plan. G, emissions from the site are minimal and shall not impact surrounding properties. H, the physical characteristics of the property are suitable for and conducive to the proposed cannabis dispensary without modification of the established character of the surrounding area. And I, the cumulative impacts of the cannabis dispensary will not unreasonably interfere with or diminish the continued use, enjoyment, or growth of the surrounding area. Next paragraph. With regard to the area variance relief that is sought, the board does hereby find and conclude that the area variance for the side yard setback requesting 4.1 feet from the eastern property line and the rear yard setback, what is that? What is that amount? I don't see that.
9.8.
9.8 feet from the northern, right?
Yes.
And 9.8 feet from the northern property boundary line are hereby determined to not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, nor will it serve as a detriment to nearby properties by the granting of the area variance relief. 2, there are no other feasible alternatives available to the applicant to locate the structure or the proposed use on the property. It is noted that the parcel is a non-conforming lot and that 4.1 feet from the side yard setback is the current side yard setback, and that although there's further encroachment to the rear, that property is, or that portion of the property is currently impervious coverage. Number 3, the requested area variance, although substantial by percentage, is not deemed to be significant due to pre-existing conditions. 4, the proposed variance relief will not have an adverse effect on the impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. And 5, it is determined that the alleged difficulties in enlarging the structure are not self-created due to the non-conforming status of the property. Next paragraph, a special use permit is hereby granted in accordance with section 200-80 of the zoning regulations, and area variance relief to allow a side yard setback from the eastern boundary line of 4.1 feet and an area variance relief from the northern boundary line in the amount of 9.8 feet is hereby granted for property located at 2239 Downer Street Road on parcel number 034.04-07.0. Period.
So moved.
Second.
Is that just variance or is that special use also?
I did both on that last. That last sentence did the special use permit as well as the...
And you need to add the condition of,
Oh, subject to the condition, thank you. Subject to the condition that the app, hold on a second.
That's the deed.
I'm sorry, folks. Okay, so question. The applicant is TJ Cannabis. The property owner is DBK Properties of CNY LLC. Who do we have an application by?
DBK.
They actually signed the application?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm satisfied.
Well,
What? Don't mess with me here. I'm just kidding.
no, I signed the application
But on behalf of whom?
on behalf of DBK
Or do
and
we have that in the
they're
material?
one and the same.
No, I fully appreciate that, but from a legal perspective, that needs to be demonstrated, right? Because it's very common to have your property owner and your tenant not the same.
Right.
So and because area variances and special use permits run with the land, it's necessary that we actually have the permission and approval of the property owner. Which I get that they're one and the same, but do we have anything that shows that?
Says property information on the application, other than, if different than the applicant, is DBK Properties, is
And he
that?
signed it? They both signed it?
No, just Brian signed it.
So I would say then a condition be that the applicant complete the application to indicate the approval of the property owner would be one of the conditions. And if we have that, then,
the generator was the other one?
and that the generator shall comply with any and all noise regulations in the town of Van Buren. And in the event the noise level of the generator is determined to exceed, corrective action shall be taken immediately, or amended site plan approval shall be obtained to remove the generator from site. That
Do you
sound
want
okay?
to say anything about termination of the sidewalk at the existing sidewalk?
I was gonna take care of that.
That's gonna be under site plan.
That'll be under site plan.
So
Okay.
I would just note for clarity further what the hours of operation are, just because when somebody goes back and looks at the special use permit, they want to make sure. So the hours of operation are,
9 to 6.
I'm sorry,
I believe it's 9 to 6.
9 to 6. Is that 7 days a week?
Yes.
I don't recall seeing distinction.
Just making sure.
in town code.
That the daily hours of operation are 9 to 6.
So
Any other conditions?
No, the rest are gonna be under site plan.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor? Against? Approved. To entertain a motion to approve site plan as shown for TJ's Cannabis, 2239 Downer Street Road, Baldwinsville, New York, 13027. Tax map ID number 034-04-07.0, as shown on drawings dated and stamped CV cover sheet L2 site details, D1 existing conditions and demo plan, A1 floor and area plans, and A2 roof plan and elevations, and revised site plan L1 dated 12/9/24 with a condition that the applicant provides a stamped sign and approval of site plan, amended site plan L1 that shows, with the revision showing the 4.1 area variance on the east side of the building, the removal of the sidewalk that extends across the existing Downer Street Road sidewalk on the north side of Downer Street Road, including landscaping in the grass area on the south end of the property, and a review of the revised site plan L1 by legal and engineering prior to final approval. So moved.
Receipt of the deed in there?
Yeah. that's what I was gonna
No, I
say.
haven't.
Do that.
That was what
Yeah.
Mr. Bob just handled.
Okay.
Yeah, I took
Okay,
those out.
very good.
Okay.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you that revised drawing this week?
Thank you.
You guys. I usually do.
All right, the next item on the agenda.
We're gonna get started.
Is Michael Allen subdivision, 7653 and 7663 East Sorrel Hill Road, tax map ID number 032.04-01 and 032-04-01. This is for a subdivision. Can you give your name and address, please?
My name is Michael Allen. My address is 7653 East Sorrel Hill Road.
Okay, what are you looking to do here?
Sure. So let me start by giving you a little bit of history here. 7653 is where I live. That's on that map there. My house is up there on the southern portion. My house was built in 1875, and a little bit of town history. One of the original settlers was a gentleman named Colonel Thaddeus Haynes. Colonel Thaddeus Haynes fought in the Civil War, and his son was the one who built my house. My house was built in 1875. I had a lot of time during the pandemic, I'm sorry. What I'm looking to do is right now, as it exists, I own a 10-acre parcel. When I bought the house, it came with a subdivided 1-acre lot that you can see here. I want to get rid of that subdivided 1-acre lot and cut my property in half. The northern portion will be just over 5 acres, and I will retain the southern portion, which is just over 5.5 acres, where I live. That's basically it. We're not looking to change anything, do much with it. The 1-acre subdivided lot will cease to exist anymore, and it'll simply be 2 subdivided parcels.
Okay. So we'll have to schedule a public hearing for this.
Okay.
For next month, which we'll do here in a minute. One of the questions we have as in reviewing this is the asphalt driveway.
Yes.
That crosses both of the proposed properties.
Yep, so this subdivided 1 acre actually used to contain a house. There was a house on that driveway went up to. I believe they did a controlled burn a long time ago in order to get rid of the house, but the driveway still exists. It's not in great condition. I didn't really consider it, when I subdivided it. It'll probably cease to exist once, in the event the subdivision is approved. I'll probably give it that. At least on my portion of it, I would.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put asphalt driveway to be removed or something like that on there.
Sure.
Because right now it's across two parcels, it would be like, you need a cross easement or something to deal with it, so.
Okay.
Just note that it's gonna be removed,
Okay.
maybe.
Go ahead, sorry.
For this subdivision though, you're gonna have to, do you have to get driveway? Do you have to get driveway approval from county?
There's a driveway that's for the access for driveway. If you're gonna still utilize that asphalt driveway for lot two will need driveway access.
Right. I guess if it's possible, the way the driveway is, they could, re-asphalt it and kind of move it to where they wanted to, if that's a possibility.
Yeah, you're just gonna need driveway access to both properties. That's
Sure.
the key here. You won't need approval with your existing driveway that's on lot one,
Right.
but lot two will need driveway access. If you maintain the access that's already showing there and cut it off at the property line,
Yeah.
that should be okay.
I think that's what I would intend to do, right?
I mean, the other option is to slide that division line down a little bit,
Yeah, that would be the only other.
which you have room to do in your acreage. I don't know if that's what you'd want to do, but.
Well, so you slide it down this way and just give them the whole driveway?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to keep as much of it as I could.
Then, like Jim said, really what you need to do is you're gonna need to show what part of that driveway is gonna be removed and what part of it's gonna be maintained. The Onondaga County DOT, if it's in bad condition, they're gonna probably force you to asphalt, I think it's 50 or 75 feet off of the,
I don't know if they will for residential,
Yeah, just for.
really, just for commercial?
commercial, industrial.
Okay.
And, in any event, my hope is that it will never be commercial.
Understood. Understood. Yep. I mean, this is a minor subdivision. This will not go to the county for 239 review, so we won't need any planning comments on this.
And we don't need septic design.
And we don't need septic design. Any other comments from the board on this?
Oh, yeah, he's got a note, lot 2 is not residential building.
Yeah.
Okay.
No other comments? So we'll schedule a public hearing. Chair entertaining a motion to schedule a public hearing for January 14th, 2025 for the Michael Allen subdivision 7653 and 7663 East Sorrel Road, tax map ID number 032.04-01 and 032.04-01. End of motion.
Did you say 24 or 25?
I said 25, I thought I said 25, but
I'm writing.
January 14th, 25. We're not going back in time.
There was a move, second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor? Against? Scheduled. So next month we'll have next year and next month we'll have the public hearing. I would just recommend that the changes be made to that plan to show the driveway access and where it needs to be cut off so it doesn't overlap the two property lines.
Sure.
So it's been stamped, so yeah, the new updated plan will have to have a stamp and signature on it.
You got it. I'll talk to my people.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Can I take this now?
I'll grab it later. This is good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll grab it now and we're gonna eat it.
didn't want to chime in?
No.
All right, next item on the agenda. Is public hearing for Green Spark Solar tax map ID number 034-04-07.07147 East Sorrel Hill Road. Chair entertain a motion to leave general session to enter into a public hearing.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? We are now in public hearing. Can you please give your name and address, please?
I am Cody Allen. I'm located at 318 Timothy Lane, Ontario, New York, with Green Spark Solar. Thanks for taking the time tonight. We're proposing to install a 11.9 kilowatt ground-mounted solar array at 7147 East Sorrel Hill Road, located on the south side of the property. The array will be located within the property setback requirements outlined in section 290 of the town of Van Buren. The array will consist of 28 solar panels, not a big array. We will be using 1-inch PVC in a small trench going from the southeast corner of the array to the southwest corner of the barn. Then we'll be going to tap the sub panel and backfeed it to the meter main. All work and labeling will be NEC compliant and able to withstand 105 mile per hour wind uplift. This is a non-battery system. Therefore, we will also be using 2-inch ground screws, 2 foot ground screws rather, to a depth of 5 feet, well below the frost line. All engineering documents for all the engineering documents for all the equipment we are installing using have been provided to the board previously, as well as with you as well. I have some copies here too if you need them. And this is a grid-tied system as well, so therefore, in the event of a power outage, the system will not be functional. It is designed for the system to cover 100% of the homeowner's use. It's essentially all we got. Any questions there?
Well, we got to get out of the public hearing and then we'll go into some board questions. Being that we're in a public hearing, does anybody in the audience want to speak for or against this application?
Hi, I'm Mike Allen. I live at 7653 Sorrel Road. This happens to be in my backyard, and I'm not against it. I guess my only critique would be is if they considered putting any sort of berm or trees to kind of give us, their neighbors, a little bit of a break from the view of the solar farm.
So currently we're as far as like the array itself, the only part that's actually being viewed is the south-facing portion. All the other parts are tree covered. I can certainly reach out to the homeowner, but then essentially all you would see is the actual south-facing part that would catch the sun for production purposes. Everything else is tree covered.
Is there anyone else that want to speak for or against this application? Hearing no more comments, Chair entertain a motion to exit the public hearing for Green Spark Solar 7147 East Sorrel Hill Road, tax map number 050-02-13.
So moved.
Second. Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor? Against? We are now back in general session. Next item on the agenda is Michael Allen Green Spark Solar, 7147 East Sorrel Hill Road, tax map number 050.02-13. This is for a special use permit. Can you give your name and address again, please?
Yep, Cody Allen, 318 Timothy Lane, Ontario, New York, 14519.
Okay, so we heard a comment obviously from the public in regards to being able to hide these solar panels a little more. The image that I'm looking at, the aerial image that I'm looking at, does show this to be pretty well hidden. I guess I'm not sure where his property is against your property.
I'm not sure either.
Could probably look that up here though, unless you guys are doing that already.
So here's, that's this.
Yeah, I got it.
So your property's quite a ways north, I guess, than that property?
Well, I wasn't sure if this is the one that already exists, if they're adding on to the one.
No, sir.
Oh, it isn't?
This is a small residential.
Then
28 panels.
I am completely wrong and I apologize.
That's why we checked.
Yeah, you're 1.2 miles away. Okay, well, as long as it's not making the other
You can see it from my house.
Okay,
I'll recall my comment.
thank you. Does the board have any other comments in regards to this application?
Question for legal is special use permit, and I think we have the same situation where the owner has not signed the application. Does that matter, or is that just for variance that matters?
No, it matters. I don't have a copy of the application for the special use.
I only see where Cody Allen has signed it. So it may just be an administrative thing that we need to get cleaned up.
No, that's what you just gave. I was looking, he's referring to the special use permit application.
Or a letter from the owner, right?
Right, no, he was giving me what he just handed out. But yes, that should be received.
Can the owner come in and sign the application?
Oh, yes, it's just what we did.
There should be, we have an LOA. We should have an LOA if that would suffice.
An LOA,
It's stated. Letter of office.
letter of authorization. Ah, where's that?
I have it right here.
We will take it, that would be.
It would have Smith.
Live in acronyms, I don't know that one. I'm just a kid, I'm more than that. That's all I do is talk acronyms all day.
I do too, though.
Do you have an extra of this? Or is this give it to the chairman, please.
I'll add it to my file.
I can make copies if you need copies.
It's in the 2 parts. I believe it's part 2 also from the email.
Does the board want to see, and does anybody on the board want to see a copy of this? If not, I'll just put it in my files. Any other questions, comments? You want to ad-lib this, or I'll just read it? All right. Bear with me. Michael Lawrence in Georgia Ann Pigman seeking a special use permit to operate 11.9 kilowatt DC ground-mounted photovoltaic solar energy array on property located at 7147 East Sorrel Hill Road, tax map number 050.02-13, pursuant to section 200-90 of the Town of Van Buren zoning code. The property is located in the AR-80 zoning district. In support of the request, applicants submitted a special use permit application, an agricultural data statement, a notification to surrounding property owners of pending action, a short environmental assessment form, a project summary, and a site plan documents prepared by GreenSpark Solar, dated July 22nd, 2024, consisting of sheet T-000 titled Title Sheet, sheet A101 titled Site Layout and Ground Screws Callout, sheet E-101 titled Three Line Drawing, sheet E-102 titled Electrical Calculation Details, and sheet A-103 titled Property Zoning. In addition, Cody Allen of GreenSpark Solar appeared on behalf of the applicants to explain the proposed and address the concerns of the board. Mr. Allen explained that the proposed system is to be installed as a one array southwest of the existing residence, comprised of 28 modules using a ground-mounted Iron Ridge racking system. The system is projected to generate 11.9-0 peak watts DC, 11,900 kilowatt DC. There is no objection to the proposal at the Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing, which was held on December 10, 2024, pursuant to public notice. Based upon the submissions of the applicants and proof taken in the public hearing, the board resolves as follows. 1, this matter is subject to a State Environmental Quality Review Act and is classified as an unlisted action. During the December 10, 2024 board meeting with the board, appointed itself lead agency for the uncoordinated review of this matter. The board found that granting the requested relief will not result in any significant adverse impact upon the environmental and therefore renders a negative declaration for purposes of seeker. The property is not located in a critical environmental area, and as proposed, the use will not pose any significant impact upon the water, air, agricultural resources, or community character and growth. Relative to section 200-80, C5 of the zoning code, the board issues the following findings and determinations. Because the proposed use is allowed by special use permit, the use complies with the applicable intent and regulations of the code. B, the proposed use is located on a parcel zoned AR-80 and is consistent with the long-term development objectives of such area. The proposed use is appropriate for the amenities available to the property and will not impede development of the area as intended by the town's comprehensive plan. C, the scale and design of the use is in compliance with town requirements, and as a result of the placement of the array on the property shall be visually compatible with conditions of the site and surrounding properties. D, the design of the site does not create any significant traffic issues. E, the use is designed and shall be operated in a manner that minimizes off-site disturbance of natural and cultural resources. Because the proposed solar arrays are ground-mounted, the use minimally disturbs agricultural soils and is consistent with the soil capabilities of the site to accommodate the use, and water runoff has been properly controlled. F, the use fits within the New York State Energy Plan of encouraging and creating new opportunities for alternative fuels, which has been declared a priority for the state. The goals of the state are 40% reduction in the greenhouse gas emissions from 1990 levels, 50% electricity will come from renewable energy resources, and 600 trillion BTU increase in statewide energy efficiency. G, emissions from the site are minimal and shall not impact surrounding properties. H, the physical characteristics of the property are suitable for and conducive to the proposed solar array without modification to the established character of the surrounding area. And I, The cumulative impacts of a single solar array use will not unreasonably interfere with or diminish the continued use, enjoyment, or growth of the surrounding area of the community. 3. A special use permit is hereby granted in accordance with Section 200-90 of the zoning code on property located at 7147 East Sorrel Hill Road, tax map number 050-02-13. End of motion.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor?
Roll call.
Let's get a roll call.
Thank you.
Mrs. McMahon?
Yes.
Mr. Sykes?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Bose?
Yes.
Mr. Schotzenbach?
Yes.
Mr. Budash?
Yes. Approved. Thank you very much.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
I know when we spoke before, there are tax applications, there are implications, we kind of in a hurry to start the project. When are we able to actually start? You know, what is this as far as?
That would be a code.
I can cook up the rent tonight after the meeting if you want. That'd be awesome, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
You too.
Yo, remember?
No, this is
Conditions here. There's no disclaimer about 25 years took it through. Not for residential. Not residential.
Anything with the size of the town. Yeah, you're gonna have your like decommissioning.
Right.
It's on them. Not gonna lie. Or the new one.
Final agenda item is RIC Energy 7131 Van Buren Road, tax map ID number 034-04-07.0. This is for a solar farm for site plan and special use permit. There he goes.
I tried all.
Your name and address, please?
My name is Rob Quirillo. Address is 17 State Street, Suite 2320, New York, New York, 10,004. So, as mentioned, Rob, home for me is actually in Copiague, New York, which is Hudson Valley. It's probably about 2.5 hours east of here. With me, I have Sheila and Kelsey from Wendell Companies. They're kind of leading efforts on the civil engineering design and some of the more technical components of the project. So as we get into some detailed questions, I may tag them in. I know enough to be dangerous, but probably that's about it. So I'll leave it to the professionals. I believe these projects were initially discussed with the planning board a while back with a colleague of mine from RIC named Kevin Bliss, where he had introduced the projects. Since then, we probably changed the design a little bit, but overall, I think we're still trying to do what was initially discussed. I'll provide generally a high-level overview of what's going on so that everyone's familiar. The narrative does include a full list of application materials submitted. I'll refrain from going through that so folks can get home before 1 o'clock. If there are particular items that you'd like to address, we can kind of dig into those in greater detail.
I'd like to dig in right now. This project is located in the Onondaga County Sanitary Sewer District. And the code says it's prohibited, solar is prohibited in those areas. So it's kind of a moot point. I believe the codes office advised you of that, and yet here we are. So sake of time, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I don't see how this board can override a prohibition that's been set by the town board.
So the parcel does fall within the Onondaga Sewer District. The code does have a prohibition. That was actually one of the kind of outstanding items I would like to address with the board. We submitted an interpretation request to the Code Enforcement Office to verify whether the process would be a variance or a waiver. We're awaiting official response on that, but we did want to introduce the project kind of in general so that way you guys were aware of what.
Didn't you refer to this board to make that determination?
Yes, and I also referred you. My name is Tom Fusion. I am the Deputy Code Enforcer. I was in correspondence with you via email. I did refer to you as far as an interpretation. Tim is the code officer. He responded to you. We just stated what the code said. And then any further interpretation, I try to push you towards Nadine Bell, our town lawyer. And you just kept on responding to me. I said, and this is all within the past week. And I said, you're coming up on the board meeting. If you want to have a discussion further in your interpretation, you have to talk to the board or the town lawyer.
Sure.
So just to clarify, from a legal perspective, an interpretation would be, if you're asking for an interpretation of the code, I guess I'm somewhat confused on the fact that you're asking whether it requires a variance or a waiver, because that's not a code enforcement officer determination. That would be established by statute, right? Like area variances, use variances, they are for specific things. Area variances are for dimensional requirements. Use variances are because the use is not allowed. So that's not something that I believe the code office can really, that's like saying, well, do you think maybe a special use permit? Well, if the code doesn't say that it's allowed by special use permit, it wouldn't matter what his interpretation is. I guess is the easiest way to say it. However, to the extent there's a question, we'll just get right to the nuts and bolts.
Sure.
A variance would not be the appropriate, an area variance would not be appropriate. As pointed out by Member Sykes, this is a clear prohibition. And so with it being a prohibition, that's the equivalent of saying it's a use not permitted. So either a use variance, which you can't establish because a use variance would have to show that you can't use the property for any of the uses that are contemplated in that zoning district in the code. You can't prove that. I'm not being sarcastic or condescending, but that's not something that you can demonstrate that this property cannot be used for permitted use. So that's one of the criteria you would have to establish, and you'd have to provide financial empirical evidence to support that. And I don't know how you would be able to show that financially there's no way to develop this property in a way that complies with the code. So that's not something, I mean, if this board cannot grant an area variance, like I said, area variances are dimensional. That's not something that they can do here. So your alternative would be for a use variance,
correct,
which you can't establish. Otherwise, I am not familiar with a process that would allow you to circumvent this board of jurisdiction and go to the town board and say, we want you to grant us a waiver of your rules that they have to now enforce. I'm not familiar with that process legally. I'm certainly open, I mean, if you could provide me statutory law that would say that there's that right, I would certainly share it with the board.
Sure. And just to backtrack a bit, so I do remember your correspondence. We never did receive any official response from the code enforcement officer addressing the interpretation request. I did not want to ignore that in any way, unless I may have missed it. I sifted through my email and requested if you could re-forward it.
Probably,
resurface it.
and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I suspect maybe the question is normally, I think with an interpretation, if there's an appeal or if there is a question, an application is filed, because that is a process under, I think it's 267A of the town law, that is a specific approval process. So no different than area variances or something like that. If you want an interpretation provided by this board, there's a process for that.
Okay. Okay, understood.
And maybe that's why there's some confusion.
Yeah, that definitely, I think we can take ownership if we may have missed the formal process. I
It
think
could be a lost in
we-
translation moment.
Sure. And as far as the waiver request, we acknowledge the waiver wouldn't have come from the code enforcement or ZBA. It would have been coming from the planning board, as there's a regulation within the zoning law that acknowledges the planning board has the right to waive any regulations that they see fit within the solar law. So we were just trying to get a feel.
Understood.
Is it a a ZBA issue? Would it necessarily be planning board? Trying to get the procedural understanding from that. As far as the use variance standard, I think we definitely are prepared. If that seems like the only possible route, we could have potentially applied the public utility standard to that, which
That was rendered by a Supreme Court in the 3rd District?
I believe so, yes. So
I don't think that case has any statutory authority in this, there's no jurisdictional. That was a lower court decision. Someone from my office actually spoke with the attorney who represented the town, and they just chose not to appeal it any further, but I don't think that's controlling case law.
okay, but yeah, as far as the use variance and the prohibition, noted, we can definitely circulate with our internal counsel and see, how we'd like to proceed. As far as a point of contact, it seems like planning board's town attorney would be the best point of contact in regards to
That's up
that.
to the
I can
Well,
maybe,
Mr. Chairman, do we want to even consider the possibility of a variance or waiver?
You guys all beat me to the punch, so. Before this all started, I was gonna reference a meeting that was previous, I think you referenced the meeting previously that I believe the town engineer was part of that meeting and myself was part, and I believe my co-chair here were part of that meeting, that we stated very clearly that, this is, as Mr. Sykes mentioned, that, this falls within the county sewer district. This land is set aside for development. It's something we're not, and we can take a roll call vote here, not roll call, but a straw vote of the board, but it's just something that we are not willing to, go across that, and we want to leave that as, the potential for development. That's why it's within that county sewer. And I guess going back to your question about regarding correspondence, whatever route you want to go with in regards to the legality of all this, it would have to go through our town's attorney. I'm not versed enough to.
yeah, neither am I, so.
But I could, for your needs, I could do a straw vote of this board to even give you a sense of where we would even go with this, even if they're, got to a place that there was a legal avenue to go with a use variance for this, that I think the town, or this board, the zoning and planning board could, I think we're in a place that we're not going to approve it anyway because of the precedent that we have for that property.
Okay. While we're here, and I don't know if folks have taken any time to review materials, do you want to take a moment to walk through, or would you rather?
If you give me a 5-minute, 10,000-foot view, I would allow that to happen.
Sure. So I'll give you the elevator pitch. Project address is 7131 Van Buren Road. Approximate location, it's 1,300 feet west of where Peck Road intersects Van Buren Road. The property is currently owned by the Aguirre family. It's a 102.7 acre parcel, currently zoned AR80 with a small sliver along running adjacent to the roadway, that's R40. As far as capacities go, before we got into it, this is in principle a single project located on a single parcel that'll likely be constructed all at the same time. From a technical component side, the utility is requiring 3 unique points of interconnection. Because of that, we have had to divide our what was a single array into 3 sub-arrays. So capacity-wise, that's equating to 3.25 megawatts, 2.5 megawatts, and 1.85 megawatts. So you're probably thinking, great, megawatts, I don't really know what that translates to necessarily acreage-wise, what's the footprint. So the total limit of disturbance, which is, I'll briefly say, is generally the area that we would need to construct everything, including roadways, poles, fence, any grading activities required, is 50.1 acres. The total fenced footprint of the project would be cumulative 41 acres, and then the total, the array itself, so within the fence, is going to be 33.9 acres. So that gives you a little bit idea of like how much area this project would be taking up on that 102-acre parcel. The tree clearing would be minimal and is currently projected at 0.19 acres. We've accounted for the max allowable height of 15 feet and are proposing 12 feet. And we have the fence height currently at 8 feet, which adheres to the local regulations. That's kind of the general overview. I just wanted to at least give you folks the background. That way, if there is some correspondence circulating, you're aware of what's going on. You won't necessarily have to dive into all this light reading and fun binders that we have for you. We, I think, touched on one of the outstanding items. There's also a number of others, but it seems like I think the sewer district is probably first step in getting past that, and then maybe we could revisit those. That way we're not, getting too far over our skis here. Are there any other questions at this time that we could address for you?
I just got one quick question. We received 3 binders. Is there anything different within those 3 binders? Because I did a lot of light reading.
Oh, God.
And
From a procedural standpoint, since there are 3 points of interconnection, we do need 3 unique approvals. We're wishing that we could send one single application that captured it, but felt that procedurally it'd probably be the clearest to have 3. There's a lot of overlap. I think if you read through the first one, you'll see some very minute differences. But it's generally same gist.
that explains it. Okay, appreciate that.
Yep.
I mean, I appreciate the amount of work that was done here. I mean, there's no doubt, but this board is, like I said, I am more than willing to do a straw vote so you can even get a sense of where this entire board, because I can't speak for every member of this board, but we're not going to be able to get past that this is within the county's sewer district and that this is set aside for future development outside of this type of development.
Understood. Noted. I will definitely take that back, circulate with the
For
team.
the point of information, and it might be addressed to one of these ladies here. Last spring, there was a survey crew out there, and I stopped, and I asked them what they were surveying for, and they said solar. I identified myself, my position. I used to be the town supervisor. Told them that it's in the county sewer district, that it's prohibited, and said they should notify their bosses that, it's prohibited in the county sewer district. Yet here we are today. And this was, I think, last April.
Understood. Yeah, and I certainly don't want anyone to feel like we're trying to bulldoze or force anything down. I think when Kevin had met with the board and my communications with him, I felt, or maybe he felt, and relayed to me that there was a possibility and some back and forth, potentially legal avenue, given kind of the benefits that these projects can have towards the town, given that it is located at the very outermost extent of the sewer district and it's currently rural development. The landowner isn't looking to do any major commercial developments at this time, so there may be a potential utilization path forward with the solar. So we don't want to feel like we're eating your information and throwing it to the side, I certainly do appreciate the feedback.
We're just trying to save you guys time and energy.
No,
I wish we could
And a
have,
lot of trees.
I wish we could have saved a bunch of time and energy and trees ahead of this.
0.19 acres.
Yeah, I need these binders, the paper in these binders.
No, I know. That's probably the 2/10 of the acres right there for you.
So, I'm not sure what else we can give you tonight besides that, thought process. You could take it back. Like I said, my legal point of, conversation is with our town attorney. But if there's any additional questions, obviously you can reach out to the codes office too. I am in contact with all of them constantly. But my general feeling across the board is that it's going to be very, very, extremely difficult to get past that.
Understood. And I do appreciate the just being upfront, and I also appreciate everyone's time kind of staying here, sitting through it, and reviewing materials. I know there's a lot of it there. As far as, I think, next steps, we'll get back to the drawing board here, see if we have any ideas, probably reach out to the attorney if I could grab your contact information, maybe after the meeting as well.
Does anybody else on the board have any comment to this or question to this, or? So, I think that's where we're at.
Mention the loss of prime farmland.
Yes, so we're aware of that as well. We do have that addressed in the application, but I think we'll tackle first the prohibitions. See where we go from there next.
Well, I appreciate you making the trip. Obviously, I appreciate the work that was done here. You just have to stand by where we're at in this, and if we have to have further conversations, I'm more willing to be part of those conversations, but we got to get past it. It's going to be very difficult to get past it. So.
Understood.
Unless you have any other comments, have a good holiday and safe travels back. I appreciate it.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't have anything else on the board, so Chair, entertain a motion to close the December 10th, 2024 Town of Van Buren Zoning and Planning Board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing first and second, any comments?
No, but he's referring
Hearing no comments, all those in favor? Against?
to the state.
We are now adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for your efforts through the whole year. Look forward to 2025.